Hey gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey, and believe it or not, this is an all-new vehicle from Mazda. This is the 2025 first ever Mazda CX-70. No, don't adjust your screens. It is new, it is different. And in this video, I'm going to show you everything about it that separates it from that other Mazda you may know. Stay tuned. Before we get too far into this one, I do want to say a huge thank you to Mazda for having me out here to Southern California to check this new vehicle out for you. This is brand new. Trust me, we will get into the details, but before we get into all of that, I want to talk about what powers it, because this is the PHEV, or plug-in hybrid electric. Yes, just like the CX-90, the CX-70 gets very familiar powertrains, which were brand new when introduced on that CX-90. We can't talk PHEV without talking about the P of PHEV, and yes, that is the plug. Coming over to the side of the vehicle, you actually get a secondary charge port door here on the passenger side, and as you can see, we use the J1772 plug. No Tesla spec plug here on this 2025 model. And you can see there is a blank down here for if we were using the CCS DC fast charger. Typically, PHEVs do not need DC fast charging, do not use DC fast charging, but very simple to plug this vehicle up and get it charging for your daily needs. And because of the over 20 miles of all-electric range the CX-90 gets, I fully expect this CX-70 to stay in line with that, which for most Americans is enough for a typical commute. So the great thing about plug-in hybrid vehicles is you can commute with them daily, not use a drop of gas or barely use any, take the same vehicle, load it up, and take it on a long road trip. Much like the CX-90, which introduced PHEV to the Mazda vernacular, this too is a Mazda with a plug. This uses a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder mated to an electric motor, 17.8 kilowatt hour battery, gives you estimated 20 plus miles of all electric range, much like the CX-90. Final specs are still being worked out, but you can go to the Mazda website, check out that CX-90, and learn just about everything I think you need about the powertrains in this vehicle. Very similar and will be in line with what we see on that CX-90. While we've got this white one here, I do want to talk about what visually separates this from the CX-90. This does ride on a very similar platform as that CX-90. It's their new full-size platform, but there are some subtle differences, and most of them can be seen right up here, right on the front, right on the face of this vehicle. And I am so grateful that they gave us this white one to check out, because you can really see the differences. Starting with all the black accenting on this one, where the CX-90 was more premium and chrome, this is more athletic, sleek. Thus, we get the black accenting, which I think absolutely works, especially on this white model. You'll definitely want to stick around and see what it looks like on a different model we're checking out here today. Another difference of the 70 and the 90 is this area right up here on the face of it. Whereas the CX-90 went kind of smoother and sleeker, this CX-70 gets some faux grills up here, but there is actually air passing through. So I can't completely knock them for this faux grill. It just gives a nice visual distinction to this large black area. But yes, air does actually pass around the front of this vehicle, and it definitely helps with the aerodynamics of it, helps with the fuel economy, helps with the electric range too, I am quite sure. As we pan around to the side of this vehicle, you can see yet some other differences of this versus the 90. We'll go ahead and start here with the new wheel designs. I think these look very sharp. The black and the polished look against each other really pops, really stands out. Now, we do not have a top trim here. Trim packages are still being worked out. I would imagine they are going to follow in line with what we see on 90, but those details are yet to be seen and fully realized. Again, going with the black theme, blacked out theme on this one, we get the black PHEV badge here on the front fender versus the chrome badging that we see on the 90. The window line, the chrome around the windows is gone. All the bright work on this one is gone. But here on this white trim, you can see all the black accents that we get. We get the black mirror caps, we get the black door handles. Really gives it an athletic look. As we come back here to the back, this is very familiar to the CX-90 that we saw earlier this year that is out on sale. Very similar design back here. Final specs, final dimensions have not been released, but you kind of judge for yourself what you think of the back end of this one. And the overall profile, is it different enough from the 90? Are you gonna go, down in number for the 70 for its more athletic look, or, what does the design say to you? Coming around to the back, the rear profile of this, again, similar but different from the 90. The bumpers, again, have been revised and are just another telltale way outside of the badging to tell that this is a 70 versus a 90. We get that kind of faux grille look right up here. And then, of course, the most obvious difference, a 7 and not a 9. So there is that. But as we get to the back, we do have a power lift gate, which does have kick to open functionality, hands-free opening, all that good stuff. And then all the increased cargo carrying benefits of having a 2-row vehicle. Yes, we haven't even talked about the interior on this one. So no folding 3rd-row seats on this one, which does open up more cargo carrying capacity. We'll talk more about that when we get to our second model, but you can see here all the different cargo carrying options you can have here in the CX-70. We've got a Dometic cooler that is plugged into our inverter back here. And it's very hard to see behind the cooler, but we've got some power release buttons for those split folding 2nd-row seats. We'll get more into that here in just a little bit. And then we've got another inverter over here and some additional power for tailgating. So this really is going to be a fun vehicle for tailgating, for active lifestyles out on the road. And I'm sure, though I can't speak to it at this event, it's going to be quite fun to drive as well. This being a power lift gate, we also have the button to close it right up here. I'm going to do my best to show you we're on uneven pavement, but standing on the same level as the vehicle, the trunk lid does open just a little bit more. I'm 5'10". You can see just how much room I've got here. Opens up nice and wide, very similar to the CX-90. No complaints here. Now, let's go check out that other model, see what interior differences separate this from that 90. All right, so now we have switched over to the Inline-6 version of the vehicle, and you can see now where all those black accents on the outside really pay dividends when you paint it in black. This thing absolutely looks amazing. But let's go ahead and talk about what's powering this one. Much like the CX-90, again, we get all similar powertrains here in the CX-70. This one has that new 3.3 liter inline-6 mild hybrid system, so you are expected to see some fuel economy benefits in stop-and-go traffic. Very similar to what is offered in the 90, very similar platform altogether. All CX-70s are also all-wheel drive. They do say this vehicle is capable of towing up to 5,000 pounds, so that is a nice touch for people who are looking for a fun, active, fun-to-drive vehicle that can tow some toys back behind them. Taking a look at the exterior styling, all the same styling elements from the white PHEV version we saw earlier, but here on this black one, they absolutely really knocked it out of the park with this one. It looks so stealth and so good. This being a higher trim level of the vehicle, again, trims aren't really ironed out just yet, but we will get that information to you soon. The wheel arches are body color on this one as well. So are the lower rocker moldings on this vehicle. A whole lot more gloss black on this versus some of the flat black that adorned the bottom of that PHEV that we saw earlier. It really looks sinister in this black paint with all the black accents and the black window line. Just everything about this very much exudes stealth, sporty, and premium. I really like the look of it. I think I like it a whole lot better than the 90 without all the bright work on it. Otherwise, it is very similar on the outside to not only that white PHEV we saw earlier, but the CX-90 on which this shares a platform. And yes, coming back here to the back, we get the 7, not the 9 back here. Very few major differences to the exterior of this vehicle to let others know you got the 70 versus the 90. The real difference is inside. So as we move to the inside of this one, again, black door handles, black mirror caps, black accents all the way around. I really like the contrast of the red interior. Red is not offered on the CX-90. Again, little different driver target with the CX-70. Without that third row, Mazda it leans more into their driving dynamics and driving behavior. We don't know anything just yet about chassis tuning or engine tweaks for the 70 versus the 90, but it is a much different customer that is looking for a large premium 2-row vehicle versus a large premium 3-row vehicle. As we start over here on the door panel, we get some of the same look trim in the door panel that we saw on the CX-90s that we've driven and experienced. All the same mirror controls, but you get all this red accenting that really makes these doors pop. You can see we do get a Bose sound system in this. We get some extra storage down here. Coming around to the seats, you can see multi-way adjustable with lumbar, and yes, they are trimmed in red. I really like this dark red. It isn't so in your face. And then we've got all the black accents. These are heated and ventilated Nappa leather seats, and much like the CX-90, they're very comfortable. Hopping in, yes, oh, very comfortable. Nice bolsters on it. A very sporty experience getting in here with all this red looking back at you. As we take a look at the steering wheel, typical corporate Mazda steering wheel here. Nothing spectacular or different. We've got that new digital gauge cluster that we saw in the 90, debuted, now repeating here in the CX-70. All the same buttons here over my left knee, parking, your iStop, start stop, that's your engine on and off in traffic. You can turn off all the warning chimes, all your parking controls, your 2 memory seat settings here for the driver, your hatch release button, and the like there. Again, typical Mazda steering wheel with all the driver safety stuff on it, but this does have a driver attention warning that can slow the vehicle down if it is noted a driver inattention for any length of time. So much like Chevy's Super Cruise or General Motors Super Cruise, that if you don't pay attention to the road for long enough, it will put on the emergency lights and bring your vehicle to a slow stop. So that is something that Mazda is looking to helping with driver fatigue and truly getting you off the road if you need to be. As we pan over here, we get the same infotainment, touchscreen infotainment from the CX-90, all similar switchgear to the 90, so nothing very vastly different in here. The real big difference is going to be all of the red contrasts that are available here on the 70. And as you can see, coming to me, I've got plenty of headroom. I have this massive panoramic roof above me. The front seat really isn't that much different, but the real differences start in the second row and the lack of third row. So let's keep moving to the back of the CX-70. Very wide opening doors, so if you've got to get a child seat in the back, you absolutely can. That is a very nice feature. Really gives you clean, easy access into the seats here. We do get a standard bench, whereas most trims of the CX-90 that we have sampled have had buckets. Here in the middle, you get 3 across, and we'll get in there here in just a moment. A highly underrated feature for me, built-in sunshades. I absolutely love it. You know, it gets hot in East Texas. Those suction cup ones just do not stay on. We would have killed for built-in sunshades when Tucker was small and in a car seat. Back here, you get similar designs to the front, all the red accenting, window controls right here, red stitching, a little bit of storage down here. And then coming to the seats, very similar design to the front seats, again, red with that black spine. I really like how Mazda makes it very easy to install child safety seats with these removable plastic covers. Though I have not lived with a vehicle with those, I'm not quite sure what you do with them. If you live with them for longer than a week, which is how long I have to deal with them. You can see these are reclining seats. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. They are in their most upright position. We'll go ahead, climb in. It's comfortable, but it's definitely upright. You can see I'm sitting behind where it was up there. Probably not my ideal spot, maybe a little bit further back, but plenty of room back here. Very comfortable, but let's go ahead and pull this recline. Yeah, this is how I would ride back here. And since there's no third row behind me, I don't have to worry about knocking anybody's knees or anything back there. I can truly get comfortable. And when we're talking cargo space here in just a moment, again, not really hurting for cargo space in this one. So I don't have to worry about hitting anything back behind me by reclining this seat. You can see it is a 60-40 split. I'm on the 60%. There's a 40% over here. That is the correct split for us with a single child seat, so I really like that. As we come down to the back of the center console, tri-zone climate controls with a couple air vents, couple USB-C ports, and all your controls back here. I don't see any heated seats on this model. Again, they're still working through details and what is offered, so we'll see that in the future. But I know, much like the CX-90, no ceiling mounted vents. We just get the vents on the back of the center console. As we pop out, you can see just how much that seat is now reclined. You can fold it fully by pulling that lever and just letting it go. And you can see we have got a nice flat transition to the cargo area back in the back, which is massive. And we've got a little bit of hidden storage back here. So if you want to hide some things back here that nobody's really going to get to, you can absolutely do that. You can see we've got some props staged back here, a tripod for a telescope, and different things that you can store back here. It is foam lined, so it's going to help with some sound deadening. Really like that kind of extra trunk space. And then you can fold that seat up without having to pull any latches or levers. So much like the CX-90, we do have a power opening rear hatch on this one. This does have the hands-free kick to open feature. Very roomy cargo area in this one. Much like many other vehicles, you can simply lift this up. It looks exactly like what is offered in the CX-90. Underneath this cargo cover, you have all your tools for changing a flat. Spare tire is down there. And then unlike the CX-90, you get these buttons right here where you can power fold those second row seats down. And now we just have a massive cargo area with a large flat load floor. Absolutely love that. As we open this up, you can actually see there is more storage back there. There are multiple ways to get to it. I think there are better ways that we could engineer this, because one way you could pull the whole thing out just like that. You can see it is actually a tri-fold cover. The other option is leaning way in and folding this over. Now you can see we're back here into that rear section, and then you can fold it again and get into this lower floor section. This is actually where the seats would be if we had a CX-90. You can see a very similar interior with the cup holders more or less removed back here in what would be the third row, but Mazda is making the most of this space by giving you another trunk space. You can see we've got some cargo dividers in here with a removable tray. So again, options, you've got options which are really good, and because it's under this hard cargo cover, nobody has to even know that it's down here. And then if you've got a bunch of luggage loaded up in the back, much like on the 90, we do have a roller shade. I love roller shades versus the hard things that just take up space. And you can see just how much covered cargo you have underneath here now. That is it from Southern California here with the two Mazda CX-70s. Huge thanks to Mazda for having us out. Let me know down in the comments, do you prefer this premium big 2-row SUV over having a big 3-row SUV that you may or may not use that back row in? Do you like the storage options? Do you like the look of the 70 better than the 90? Same as the 90? Let's hear that conversation down in the comments. Huge thanks once more to Mazda for this. If you want to see us drive this, we've got that coming out very soon. Can't wait to actually get behind the wheel of this. Hit that subscribe button down below and ring the bell so you are notified every time a new video drops. Find us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, at GT Garage Talk, or you can go to gtgaragetalk.com. But as for me, here with the Mazda CX-70, until next time, gearheads.